Hello students, welcome to the lecture on group and team in an organization, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Explain the concept of group, discuss the stage of group development, describe the group decision making, discuss the concept of team and types of teams, explain work teams concept, discuss the creating effective teams, understand the management by objectives, explain process of management by objectives. Let's start with an understanding of group dynamics, which is necessary to understand organizational behavior. Groups are important to improve organizational outputs and to influence the attitudes and behavior of members of the organization. The work group is usually the primary source of social identity for employees, and the nature of the group can affect their performance at work as well as their relationships outside the organization. The structure of a group helps the management predict individual behavior within the group and the performance of the group itself. Some of the structural variables are formal leadership, roles, norms, group status, group size, and the composition of the group. The composition of a group may sometimes prove to be a critical factor in its total performance and turnover. Concept of group. Group is a collection of people who interact with one another, accept rights and obligations as members, and who share a common identity. Types of group. Reasons for forming groups. Basically, there are two types of groups, which are formal and informal. Edgar H. Sahin has classified various causes of group formation into three categories. Formal organizational functions. Group functions that are congruent with organizational purpose have been referred to formal organizational functions. They include means for working on complex tasks, means for generating new ideas, means of coordination and liaising, means of problem solving, means for facilitating the implementation of complex decisions, means of socialization and training. Psychological functions. People bring a variety of needs to organizations, and groups can cater to many of these needs. This is the reason for organizations to form many groups to fulfill certain needs, which include means for fulfilling affiliation needs, means for developing enhancing sense of identity and maintaining self-esteem, means for establishing and testing social reality, means for reducing sense of insecurity, anxiety, and sense of powerlessness, means for solving personal problems, multiple or mixed functions. Groups have both organizational and psychological functions. They serve the needs of organizations as well as needs of individual members. That is why there is a lot of emphasis that organizations should make efforts to align organizational goals and individual needs. Group dynamics. The term dynamics connotes changes taking place in a group structure as a whole, as caused by changes in any other part of the group. Group dynamics refers to changes which take place within groups and is concerned with the interaction and forces obtained between group members in a social setting. It is a study of forces operating within a group. When the term group dynamics is employed in the study of OB, the stress is on the dynamics of members of informal and formal groups. Group decision making. Group decisions have strengths as it brings together experience and expertise of several individuals. Groups generate more complete information and knowledge. In addition to more information, group introduces heterogeneity to decision-making process. In group decision-making, one gets diversity of views and consider problems from multiple perspectives, and also multiple alternatives are examined, thus tend to take higher quality decisions, and group decisions are relatively more acceptable to members than decisions taken by individuals alone. Groups also tend to make more creative decisions than individual decisions taken alone. Weaknesses of groups. They take more time to arrive at decisions. Dominant few have greater say in decision making. If dominant members have poor to moderate analyses, the same affect quality of group decisions. Groups also generate social pressure for conformity. Members not toeing to the line, majority decisions are under considerable pressure to accept the majority decision. Groups also have tendency to groupthink, a tendency of groups to reach an agreement at any cost that results in ineffective decision making. Conditions for effective group decision making. Groups are highly cohesive. Groups have highly autocratic and directive leaders. Groups are cut off from external environment and have no access to objective information. Groups develop complacency that whatever leaders or dominant people decide is the best course of action anyway. There is no hope to have a better solution. Concept of team and types of teams. A team is any group of people organized to work together interdependently and cooperatively to meet the needs of their customers by accomplishing a purpose and goals. Teams are created for both long-term and short-term interaction. Classification of teams. Teams can be classified into 4 most common forms. Problem-solving teams. They are typically composed of 5 to 12 employees from the same department who met for a few hours each week to discuss ways of improving quality, efficiency, and the work environment. In problem-solving teams, members share ideas or offer suggestions on how work process and methods can be improved. Self-managed teams. They are generally composed of 10 to 15 people who take on the responsibilities of their former supervisors. Typically, these responsibilities include collective control over the pace of work, determination of work assignments, organization of breaks, collective choice of inspection procedures used, cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams are made of employees at about the same hierarchical level but from different work areas who come together to accomplish a task. Such teams are an effective means of allowing people from diverse areas within an organization to exchange information, develop new ideas, solve problems, and coordinate complex projects. Virtual teams. Virtual teams are computers' technology to tie tighter physically dispersed members in order to achieve a common goal. They allow people to collaborate online, whether they are only a room apart or separated by continents. The 3 primary functions that differentiate virtual teams from face-to-face teams are the absence of paraverbal and non-verbal cues, limited social context, the ability to overcome time and space constraints. Team diversity. Team diversity refers to the differences between team members or any attribute that may lead each single member of the group to perceive any other member of the group as being different from the self of this particular member. Concretely, the taxonomies of diversity are as follows. Surface level versus deep level diversity. It refers to characteristics such as age, gender, ethnicity, which can be readily detected when first meeting a person and refer predominantly to demographic attributes. In contrast, deep level diversity refers to attributes that are detected only when people interact over a certain time with each other. Example, values, personality, or beliefs. Task relevant versus task irrelevant diversity. The former, relevant to the task, refers to attributes such as functional, occupational, and industry background or educational level and educational content. They reflect differences in knowledge, skills and ability, KSA, in information, opinion or experience. However, task-irrelevant diversity comprises demographic characteristics, that is age, gender, ethnicity, cultural background or personality variables. Actual versus perceived diversity. The former has been referred to as actual diversity, the latter as perceived diversity. Actually, these clarifications inevitably have some overlap. In addition, when we focus on the actual diversity, it is necessary to take the perception of diversity into account. Certainly, it is not adequate to just focus on the effects of diversity on performance. It will be more valuable to do such study in a social context where subjective cognition and emotion will play an important role. Creating effective teams. A team is made up of a group of people working together to achieve a common goal. An effective team has certain characteristics that allow the team members to function more efficiently and productively. An effective team develops ways to share leadership roles and ways to share accountability for their work products, shifting the emphasis from the individual to several individuals within the team. A team also develops a specific team purpose and concrete work products that the members produce together. Here are 8 basic strategies for effective team building. Common goal. The success of any group project is that there must be a clear single goal. Many teams fail when there are multiple agendas. Clarity of goal. With all communication, clarity is a must. Great communication keeps team members from aborting the core of the project due to lack of understanding of the overall purpose. Commitment from each team member. For a group, a people to function as a productive team, there has to be a commitment from each team member to the team. This can be the fall of many team projects when there is a lack of commitment. Do what you do best. The purpose of assembling a team is to group together individuals that have specific skills to accomplish a specific project. The purpose in which an individual is selected is based on their skills that they bring to the task. It is not about you. The hardest attitude to grasp in playing a role on a team is that it is not about you. It is not about your resume, what others will think. It is about playing a role to accomplish the goal or task that has been given. You have got to talk to each other. Not only is communication of the project goal vital, but frequent updates of the task is important. With multiple tools at fingertips like email, mobile phones, wikis, and project management software, to not communicate is a sure sign of lack of commitment from team members. Work as a team, play as a team. Successful teams can anticipate what others will do and how they will respond. This can only happen by being together. Everyone cannot lead. Every task must have a project lead. There are many ways to choose a lead. Some managers choose to select by an individual's area of expertise or their ability to communicate and manage projects and people. Management by objectives. Management by objectives is a comprehensive managerial system that integrates many key managerial activities in a systematic manner, and that is consciously directed towards the effective and efficient achievement of organizational and individual objectives. It was in 1954 that Peter F. Drucker first emphasized that objectives must be set in all areas where performance affects the health of the enterprise. Individual goal setting is an important factor in motivating employees. It is known that performance is higher when people have specific objectives than when they are asked simply to do their best. Management by objectives has been used in performance appraisals as an instrument for motivating individual and in strategic planning. But there are still other managerial subsystems that can be integrated into MBO process. The process of managing by objectives. The process starts at the top of an organization and has the active support of the chief executives who give direction to the organization. Steps involved in the MBO process include setting preliminary objectives at the top. Given appropriate planning premises, the first step in setting objectives is for the top manager to determine what he or she perceives to be the purpose or mission and the more important goals of the enterprise for a given period ahead. Clarifying organizational roles. The relationship between expected results and the responsibility of attaining is often overlooked. Ideally, each goal and sub-goal should be one particular person's responsibility. Setting subordinates' objectives. After making sure that subordinate managers have been informed of pertinent general objectives, strategies, and planning premises, the superior can then proceed to work with subordinates in setting their objectives. Recycling of objectives. Objectives can hardly be set by starting at the top and dividing them up amongst subordinates, nor should they be started from the bottom. A degree of recycling is a must. MBO process. The MBO process can be understood by following certain steps in a sequential manner. These steps include: the management chunks down the organizational goals and assign chunks to senior managers. Senior managers then derive objectives for them to achieve the assigned organizational goals. This is where senior managers assign the objectives to the operational management. Operational management then chunk down their objectives and identify the activities required for achieving the objectives. These sub-objectives and activities are then assigned to rest of the staff. When objectives and activities are assigned, the management gives strong inputs to clearly identify the objectives, time frame and completion, and tracking options. Each objective is properly tracked and the management gives periodic feedback to the objective owner. In most occasions, the organization defines processes and procedures in order to track the objectives and feedback. At the end of the agreed period, usually a year, the objective achievement is reviewed and an appraisal is performed. Usually, the outcomes of this assessment are used to determine the salary increments for year ahead and relevant bonuses to employees. Summary. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learnt in this lecture. Group is a collection of people who interact with one another, accept rights and obligations as members, and who share a common identity. Two heads are considered better than one is long-time accepted rationale for using groups in decision making. Team is any group of people organized to work together interdependently and cooperatively to meet the needs of their customers by accomplishing a purpose and goals. Cross-functional teams are an effective means of allowing people from diverse areas within an organization to exchange information, develop new ideas, solve problems, and coordinate complex projects. Virtual teams use computers technology to tie tighter physically dispersed members in order to achieve a common goal.